Is this heaven?
No, it's a podcast. Welcome to the Field of Geeks podcast.
Generals gathered in their masses, just like witches at black masses. Evil minds that plot destruction, sorcerer of death's construction. In the fields of bodies burning.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 86 of the Field of Geeks podcast. I'm Josh.
I'm Billy.
Welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
Sure, no problem. Yeah, it's just two of us today. Thought we could ask a kind of a cool question to start the show off. With all the crazy snow lately and the cold temps. What's your favorite weather-related movie?
I have to say Twister.
96. That's when that came out.
Oh, wow.
It was a long time ago.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, no, Twister's on my list, too. Yeah, that is good. I remember watching it. Actually, it's the only time I went to a drive-in, I saw Twister. And It was like the night after we had a bunch of tornado sightings or whatever here.
That's good timing.
So the sky still looked like something it was kind of really frightening to watch, but fun at the same time. But yeah, that's a good movie. I remember once we got to high school, in science class, we destroyed that movie, like how fake it was, and just counted all the flaws. So it really took the fun out of it. So ever since then, it's kind of been hard to really get back into it. But
actually, I'm kind of the opposite. Every time it's on, I try to watch it, and
same here. I like the crew and stuff. A lot of big actors were in it. Philip Seymour Hoffman,
and these guys are most of them are kind of unknown, except for the guy that was in. Well, of course, Bill Paxton, and
yeah,
but like the guy that was in Ferris Bueller, Ferris Bueller's friend.
Yeah, I can't remember his name offhand, but yeah, he was. Yep, he was one of the guys.
But everybody else was kind of.
It was cool. It was like an evil
unknowns.
storm chase team. You had that going on, and the effects still hold up somewhat. I mean, there's some that look really fake, like the cows. I think.
Yeah,
look too good.
The flying cows.
We got cows.
Another cow.
In the suck zone, that was fake because their shoes stayed on. I remember that in science class. Yeah, we just totally drained the fun out of the movie. But no, I really enjoyed it when it came out, and I think it was a big hit too.
It was a big hit.
There's several other ones I had on my list. Hard Rain. Did you ever see Hard Rain?
No.
That's actually pretty good from what I remember. It's I actually looked it up last night on IMDb, and it had a really low score. It had Randy Quaid in it, Morgan Freeman, and Christian Slater.
Must have been very memorable. Then.
I liked it though. Like Christian Slater and Ed Asner were, I don't know what you call them, bank vault drivers. The armed truck drivers. Yeah, and their truck breaks down in this town, and big flood happens, and so they gotta basically, people are like, hey, I can loot now, so I got to go get your money, and they have to defend the truck. And
I just thought of one, and it just popped in my head, Day After Tomorrow.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, that's a recent one. Is it 2012 it came out? No, before that, I think.
I think it was way before that.
Yeah, I saw that once. I had a downer ending. It's like, hey, we're all moving to Canada or Mexico or something. It's like,
moving to Mexico because it's warmer down there.
America's destroyed. Okay.
Yeah,
I guess.
That was one of those things I still watch this day because it's like, it's somewhat believable.
Yeah.
It's a little over the top, but it's just one of those things that, you have a massive storm comes, wipes out half the country, stuff like that.
It's the same producers who did Independence Day, I think. So they're really into those disaster movies. A recent one, I didn't see it, but it was.
They're trying to tell us something.
Yeah. There was a new one with Gerard Butler. I forgot what it was called, but it was like satellites were causing bad weather to happen. Something crazy. I don't think Geostorm. It's Geostorm.
Oh, is that fairly new?
Yeah, it hit theaters, so no one knew about it. So
apparently, because I never heard of it before.
But yeah, you got Dante's Peak.
Oh yeah,
Volcano. Which are those two are those movies that are very similar, and they come out at the same time. They both came out in '97. So
I'd pick Volcano over Dante's Peak.
Yeah, I think Dante's Peak's got some unique things. Volcano's crazy.
Is that the one that had Pierce Brosnan in it?
Dante's Peak did.
Yeah.
And Linda Hamilton.
Yeah.
Tommy Lee Jones was in Volcano.
Yeah, which I like that one better.
Yeah. I mean, they're both pretty effective. Yeah, Dante's Peak maybe had more of a TV movie feel to it.
Right.
Like the volcano was probably more epic because the locations.
Why not have a volcano in Los Angeles?
Yeah.
I mean, they get earthquakes already, so might as well just add a volcano to it.
Right. And I think in the movie they're like, oh yeah, it's just an earthquake. Like, nope. There's more to it.
And a lot of us are spitting out of a tar pit. So
I still remember that horrible scene where the dude saves a kid or something on the subway.
This.
And he's like walking through the lava.
Oh yeah, it was an adult because all the adults were trapped on that car.
Yeah.
And so they're trying to get everybody out, and there's one last body in the car, and then the guy, with his adrenaline, he decides to go in there and get the person and lifts him up, and then the lava had traveled underneath the car already, so he jumped into it, and then with the rest of his strength, he tossed the guy,
and then he just cooks,
and then he just melted. So,
oh man, I would just use that guy probably as like a mat and just jumped off him like Mario over the lava. Sorry, dude. No, that was a brutal.
There had to be a heroic, scene in that movie.
There was something similar at Dante's Peak, actually. The grandma they went to rescue, they're in the lake or something. It was so hot, and the boat was starting to fall apart. So she jumped out and pulled the boat to shore. So that was similar, sort of. It was more like a steam thing, but that still was. It showed her her legs afterward. Ugh, bad. Yeah. Perfect Storm. That's another one.
I didn't really get into that one very much.
It's very long, and I think they're going for an Oscar type of. I think it's probably more of an A level movie than a B level. There's not a lot of action. It's more like suspense, and there's a love story. It's sappy, but I remember towards the end though, it really was building up, and it was pretty effective. But yeah, I can't really think of any snow movies much. Snow Day. But that's not really a disaster.
Yeah, there aren't really many.
Unless you think Chevy Chase being a newscaster is disastrous, which I think a lot of people would. But there's not really a lot of snow ones, is there?
Not that I can remember anyway.
No.
Off the top of my head, I can't remember, but I've seen so many movies.
Would you count Sharknado as a disaster movie?
A disaster movie? Yes.
Itself, yeah,
yes.
yeah. I never have seen those.
And the weird part is that I've actually watched those movies. And of course, it's the same characters, and I'm like, how many times can you make a Sharknado movie? I mean, how? I don't understand the concept of it. I mean, the first one, fine, but when you make 5 of them, but each one of them they're cheesy anyway. They're cheesy TV movies, but some of them sometimes they get kind of amusing in a way. They're just.
I think that's how they ran with it, and I think they just ran it.
They're obviously low budget type things, and when you have a guy from now 2-0 in every single movie, kind of like what they did with Brandon Fraser in the Mummy was, I hate mummies. Well, I'm sure he hates sharks, by then, because after 5 movies of sharks attacking a city, then
I don't even know if they're making more of those.
I hope not.
I don't think so. I think sci-fi is trying to up their game and get away from that stuff. We'll get into that because Krypton's one of those shows that they're trying to redo the whole channel with. But I thought we'd get into our first topic. The trailer for The Strangers, Pray at Night, came out. I know you haven't seen it yet. But
I haven't seen it yet, no.
It's the sequel to 2008's The Strangers, which took a long time to get a sequel, surprisingly.
Yeah.
Because I think it was a hit at the
It was
box
a big
office.
hit. It was a pretty big hit.
Yeah.
It was one of those, I'm a big, horror movie person, and that was one that was pretty good. I mean, there haven't been very many thrillers or horror movies that have come out that have been completely scary, but this is something. That first movie is something that's believable because as far as
anybody could do it,
and I think it was based off a true story anyway.
Yeah,
so that's something that's believable to people. Can enter your house and they can play tricks on you. So that was pretty believable. So I'm kind of anxious to see what the trailer looks like and then what how the movie pans out when it comes out.
Well, it worked on me. I started watching it and I got terrified instantly because I'm a wuss. But stars Christine Hendricks and her family in the movie. They rent this trailer or something, and of course they get a knock on the door. And is Tamara there? It picks up right pretty much like the other one did.
Right.
It's directed by Jonas Roberts. I don't know if that's the correct way to say the name, but I guess he directed 47 Meters Down, The Other Side of the Door, Storage 24, I don't know if you're familiar with any of those movies.
I'm not.
47 Meters Down looked pretty terrifying. That was a Mandy Moore movie, I think, recently that came out where her and her friend go down in the ocean and their cage breaks or something.
And
there's sharks
all
everywhere.
over.
Yeah. That looked pretty terrifying. So the script is written by the writer-director of The First Strangers, Brian Bertino and Ben Kita. It's due out March 9th, 2018. So
nice.
A few months. I don't know if I'll see that in the theater. You'll have to report on that.
I'm sure we will. I'm sure it'll be a date night for me and my wife.
There you go. Yeah, well, it's about time. Geez, it took them a while to...
Well, that's the kind of thing when it comes to these kind of movies. You gotta, you guys, one thing, spread them out, and then two, you gotta make sure that you have a good story, because, movies that we've seen, whether it's horror movies or not, a lot of the stories are just not... They don't make sense, and then they kind of just leave you hanging in the end. So hopefully, with this, kind of like the First Strangers movie, they'll, have a good story, and then maybe if it's good enough, bring out a second, sequel to it and stuff like that too. Yeah. I'll be sure if I see it, I'll come back and report it.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be as good as the first one. I don't think it's too hard to.
These days, it's hard to come by, but we'll see.
So, in movie-related news, DC Films has named a new president. He is a New Line executive, Walter Hamada. He helped develop the new It movie and the Conjuring universe, and he also did a few other things. He will partner with Jeff Johns to take on the new DC lineup, which seems to keep changing per movie, because WB, they're just frantic and they can't stick to one idea. So far on the slate of films they want to do is Flashpoint, Batgirl, Green Lantern Corps, Suicide Squad 2, and a few other ones. There's actually rumor lately that the Deathstroke and Deadshot movies, solo movies, are not going to happen, which I'm okay with, because
me too.
I think those characters, even though Will Smith was in Suicide Squad, his Deadshot was, I mean, I liked his character, but I just don't think there's still enough interest to have their own movie with that character.
I would probably agree.
I think those are like ones you got to test to have them like secondary characters, and then if people like them enough, then yeah, I'm sure in comics there's plenty of storylines you can do.
Or have them being maybe more cameos in other some of the other movies as well too.
I think that's a good idea.
I think I would agree that certain characters don't need solo movies,
right?
Especially some of the villains. I don't know how you're going to do that.
Yeah. One I just thought about this recently. We got Aquaman coming out this year. I don't think any other Warner Brother movie is coming out this year. So they're only going to have one out, which the usual seems to be two. I mean, if you're going by Marvel standards, because Marvel's going to have Black Panther and Infinity War. So this is probably the first year in a while Warner Brothers isn't going to have two movies out in the same year.
That's probably a good thing, because
if it helps them, yeah.
Hopefully it helps them. Yeah, hopefully it helps them, because you're right. I think they're kind of frantic as far as trying to get these movies out too quick, and they're just not making them as good as they should have. Because we're getting all this hype about all these movies, then they end up not being what they say they're going to be. And so I think it's good to have Marvel do their thing, and then DC can reinvent themselves and kind of just take their time and hopefully bring out these movies.
I think if Warner Brothers executed it properly, they could have went backwards from what Marvel did. I think that was the plan, and it might still be the plan, to start with your shared movies and then get into solo films. Yeah. We've seen so many solo Batman films. I see why we need an Aquaman, and a Batgirl would be really cool. And I guess, Green Lantern had, even though it's not considered part of the universe.
Yeah. I wish they would have followed what Marvel did as far as, having the solo movies come out. They did it for Man of Steel. They did it, they haven't really done it for Batman yet, except for the Christian Bale movies, but they should have had at least a couple of solo films out first, and then build on with the whole Justice League and whatever else. I think they moved a little too fast with it, and that's probably why they've gotten so many, bad critics. But I mean, the movies have been okay, but I think that they could have maybe followed what Marvel did and might have helped the storylines a little bit more as well too.
I think their idea was they could only see big profits with a team up movie. So they were like, well, we're already behind. Might as well start with team up movies and then maybe go into solo films. Cause, Marvel had the luxury of building their, the whole brand, and, Warner Brothers just caught on to it too late. They had plenty of opportunity. They could do that. In fact, after, Dark Knight Rises, they were looking for someone to head the DC films, the new ones they wanted to do with the multiverse and all that. And they actually approached Chris Nolan, who did the Dark Knight trilogy. Right. He only wanted to produce Man of Steel, so that's what he did. And then after that, they had like Zack Snyder and his wife, Deb, produce. It was kind of like, hey, you guys are creative. Why don't you guys, run with the DC films? And, I think Man of Steel was pretty good. BVS came out, and that just really broke things up with the Snyders pretty much and Warner Brothers. But, I don't think it was entirely Snyder's fault. I mean, his original cut was like 4 hours, and I think he wanted to make it a two-parter. I know he wanted to make Justice League a two-parter.
Which I think should have happened.
Yes, for sure. So after BVS, they appointed John Berg as the president, I think, or the head. And, his first baby was Justice League pretty much. And given what happened with that film, I mean, Snyder supposedly completed his version of it. And it was, I think, another 4-hour movie. They didn't like the tone, so they brought in Whedon to make it more funny. And then Snyder had to leave entirely because, family tragedy. So in the end, I don't really feel like it's accurate to say it's a Snyder film or to blame Snyder for that matter, because we talked about this a little bit ago, but there's people actually right now physically protesting Snyder cut for the film, which I'd love to see, but I don't know if Warner Bros. Wants to spend money to complete the special effects for it. But you were going to get a lot more Cyborg. You were actually going to see his mom. His mom was going to be the heart of the film, from what I read. A lot of differences, like all the Superman scenes we saw in the Justice League we got was all Joss Whedon Superman scenes. All the Zack Snyder ones were cut out, which he had Superman in a black suit for a little bit of the movie, which would have been great to see, just to reference, just a wink to the comic fans. Even though it's not the exact story, you still get to see him in it. Right. I mean, we did technically see him in Man of Steel when he had that nightmare scene with Zod. He had that black suit on. This was probably going to be a little different, but there was more to it. You could tell because in the Justice League we got, there was a big gap, I thought, between Superman coming back and then when he returns out of the blue, Right. It was rushed, but there's still a lot of good scenes in Justice League. But
there were.
It is a mess, but it's not.
I enjoyed
It's an enjoyable mess. I don't know.
Well, I enjoyed the humor that came with it.
Yeah.
Because, even
I thought some of it was
Superman having some humor as well, too.
Yeah.
But, again, I wanted to see what we saw in the previews. Mm-hmm. And we didn't get that. So when you don't see what's provided to you, it kind of knocks everything.
I think Snyder was going to bring an epic scale like he did with BVS. Now, you can say the writing wasn't that great. Maybe that's true. But still, the scale of the movie looked huge, Right. Justice League was kind of the same way, except we had this dude from another world come to ours and start, anarchy, and didn't really feel like the whole planet was on the line to me. I don't know. I think they just missed that. And, of course, the villain, CG was decent, but they should have just put the actor they got for it has a great face, and I think it would have been more menacing, give the guy like contacts or something and just put his face in there, but the rest of the body could be CG, something like that.
Right.
I just wish they would have done that more, because I would imagine it costs more just to make the whole face, computer generated. Right. I think Flashpoint has a good idea. Just, the story itself, it can really set things right, hopefully. But yeah, Warner Brothers is just going to have to stick to a plan. It's just frustrating. So, luckily we had Wonder Woman. That's been huge success, and
very huge.
So that's been the top notch, and they might be structuring the rest of the movies around her in a way, or her leading the teams, whatever. But this Walter Amada seemed like he developed some great projects. I mean, I think you enjoyed it. It wasn't scary to you, but I think the quality was great.
The quality was good. I mean, it wasn't the TV movie type thing that you saw before back in the early 90s, but it was pretty good. And the storyline, they stuck pretty much to it for the most part. They made it their own as well. Made Pennywise a little more, a little bit scarier. But I enjoyed the movie.
Put more thought into his costume.
Put more thought into his costume, and the person they picked for Pennywise, he nailed it.
Yeah,
and I mean, he had his own humor as well too.
Sure,
and it was pretty good.
It's funny though how Warner Brothers wants to get more into like lighthearted material, and they hired this guy who really just developed like scary movies.
I mean, the guy was just kind of creepy to begin with. Just look at him without the makeup. So him acting
Bill Skarsgård,
as a killer clown. That's pretty big. Some big shoes to fill, but he did it. Pretty anxious to see the sequel when they come out with it. So.
Well, I hope this guy can really do something for DC and get their act together and just produce a bunch of films. I mean, it's not that hard, and there's so many stories you could do, and I just don't. It's funny how these comic book films, they're not really. I think Marvel's really, I would say Marvel they could make things a little bit more serious, but it's still a great time to be at the movies. You're not gonna really be let down,
right?
So they've mastered that storytelling. But I do admire Warner Brothers trying to do their own thing. But the problem is you don't have a concrete plan, or if you do, and in a heartbeat you change it. It just jars everything. And they just need to step aside and let the creators do their thing. Hopefully they'll get it right one of these days.
It's going to take a few years to make it. And not do it in like a year and a half. And
there's just so much good writing talent out there. It's like just find somebody. And like I said, though, you could easily pick up one of the popular comic books in the last 20, 30 years or over that and find a good story. I don't see why it's so hard. Honestly, you could have the artists themselves storyboard the movie, so you could really make it really visually appealing.
Right.
More to come on that. We got Aquaman coming. Hopefully that's going to be really good. And after that, who knows? Flashpoint. That won't be for another year or two.
Right.
Actually, it might be next year. I think they might start on that soon. But speaking of, production starting, Spider-Man Homecoming 2 is about to start June 1st. John Watts might direct. He directed the first one. Tom Holland's obviously returning. And it's
Homecoming 2. It's actually Spider-Man Homecoming 2.
Well, that's the working title. They're gonna do something else.
Adjust it. I'm like, okay.
I think Spider-Man Prom, maybe. I don't know. It's a joke. But Spider-Man Graduation.
Winter Formal.
I've already came up with the 2 titles for them. Winter Formal. So that'll be due out July 5th, 2019. Did you ever see the Homecoming film?
No.
You haven't?
No.
It's good. I liked it. It's got a real John Hughes vibe to it. That's where they were going for. A lot of cool characters in that world. And not so flashy comic booky. They're just like normal people, but he's got like a cool nerd sidekick friend who helps him out. And he's like on a science team. Like they go to like competitions and have to answer all these crazy questions, about equations and things like that.
This Spider-Man seems to be a little more popular compared to the other ones.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, he's already, an Avenger, basically. And then plus...
Because he's part of the MCU, so they're able to... And he's going to be in Infinity War with his Iron Spider suit.
So he's already busier than the other Spider-Man, people, because they have their time, but now they're building the whole Avengers.
It's the best direction to go to, because they didn't want to do Amazing Spider-Man 3, which I get, but I still, like a WB standpoint, kind of wish they would have just went ahead and just corrected their wrongs. I didn't hate Amazing Spider-Man 2, but I still wanted Andrew Garfield. But I like this Tom Holland kid, and he's got that youthful appearance. Right. He's very good in gymnastics. Like he does all kinds of crazy stuff. He's a machine.
Weren't they talking about bringing back this or bringing in Wolverine at some point as well too? Or
well, now that rumor,
Because I know Hugh Jackman said he always said that he would come back.
Yeah, and I think they approached him and he said no, he's going to stay retired.
He's gonna stay with that? Okay.
But they're going to recast Wolverine. He actually wants them to recast Wolverine. That'll be very interesting how they handle the whole X-Men thing. I don't know.
I know he wouldn't be back for any kind of X-Men movies, but I think before he retired, he said that if Wolverine was introduced into an Avengers world, that he would maybe reconsider it. So I'm a little surprised that he didn't go for it, but maybe it's he just
probably had no idea that deal would happen, and he pretty much set his sights on to another part. You know, he just did The Greatest Showman, and
I get it.
He's getting up there in age. You know, he did it for like almost 20 years, so that's it's probably time for somebody else. Because honestly, if he entered the MCU now, you know, how many films in is he going to look too old for the part,
right?
You know, and he wants to do other things. That's got to take a lot of toll on your body.
Which would be kind of hard
like
to do now because since he's done Logan with the whole, with the old man Logan type of thing, you know,
he wanted to go out that way, and that's the best way to go out. Really, I thought you can't top that. Not for him,
right?
Like I still want to see Wolverine come back, but the Logan's just basically a one-off film. So, unfortunately, I don't know if we'll get more one-off films with the Disney buyout. So. But yeah, we'll get it recasted. We'll get Logan recasted, and they talked about maybe another Avenger be in the second Spider-Man Homecoming movie. So hopefully, if they do, it's not heavily in the plot.
If they do add Wolverine in, I want to see the Wolverine costume. You know, what they showed.
Yeah.
And I think they showed it in Logan. I think
they need to do that.
And then so they never done it before. So that'd be a good thing to.
That's been the biggest mistake, I think. But you know, you're looking at 99, 2000 when they did the first one, and everyone was in black leather suits because you know they were scared to death to like put any color in their suits to come off like Batman and Robin. Because I think that industry was still recovering from Batman and Robin and. You know, he had Blade bring it back. Of course, Blade's all in black leather, right. So it's like, let's just keep doing the black leather thing. I think Fantastic Four might have been the first time I actually saw color, somewhat. I mean, it's dark blue wasn't like huge difference, but I think Iron Man really brought out the look again. And, you know, Batman's dark, though, and stuff. Yeah. So, again, you don't really have that. But, yeah, I don't know. I really like what they're doing with Spider-Man. And if they keep on their path, I think they're going to try and do a trilogy. So they'll complete this trilogy, and then who knows after that. There's talk of that maybe if Doc Ock is in this one, Mark Hamill said he'd be interested in playing him, which I think that's really cool because he's coming right off The Last Jedi. He really got to use his acting chops. Mm-hmm. He's been in a few things, you know. He really got front stage with The Last Jedi, and he's really a good actor, and I really miss seeing him. I think he never got his due after the Star Wars. You know, he came close, sort of. He played the trickster on The Flash. Great voice actor, though, of course. The Joker. Right. Great Joker voice. He could probably be, in his youth, he could probably have been a good Joker, I think. That's more fan talk, but I think that'd be a really good casting. But who knows? Yeah, they might incorporate the Hulk in it, as long as it doesn't take over the Spider-Man movie itself, you know. The Homecoming did a pretty good job, I think, with Iron Man. It wasn't as bad as I thought, and it actually helped the plot. So it's almost like, let's just have him have his own movie. He doesn't need to have any Avengers, but of course he's in the same city and timeline where the other, like Tony Stark's in New York now, I think, and so you had to have him in it for a little bit, especially because he gives him the suit and all that. Game news, Star Wars Battlefront, Billy's favorite game.
Oh, yeah, my favorite.
This will be quick. For everyone out there who's seen the SNL skit, Matt the Radar Technician, it's an undercover boss skit, was Kyle Ren. He went undercover as Matt the Radar Technician. It was really funny. It became a fan favorite, basically. So now there's a new mod to actually play as that character in the game. And there's actually another mod to have a fiery lightsaber like Kylo Ren has in the movies, which is like, you know how you usually see a lightsaber, it's pretty like stable. Yeah. His is like just going crazy. Like it's, you know, it's just ready to explode or something. So there's like 2 mods right now you can get for that game. And I will provide the links in the show notes. So yeah, if you want to get the Matt the Radar Technician mod, you go to the game TSF and I'll provide the link, like I said. The Fire Saber from Deathstroke YT. If you're interested, check it out in the show notes. Let us know how you liked it. So we have some reviews. Billy saw Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. If you could, you don't need to spoil anything unless you want to, but if you do want to, start with non-spoilers and then warn for spoilers.
I mean, I don't want to spoil anything. I just want to say that, compared to, the original and then looking at this one, I was pretty skeptical for a while, but when I saw this, it was actually trying to be pretty funny. It was pretty good. And, the casting was really good, and, having, Jack Black and, Dwayne Johnson and, Kevin Hart. I mean, these guys, it was amazing. I enjoyed it. And I think that, I think a lot of people will enjoy the movie. I don't want to give out really anything in case people haven't seen it, but I think this one's pretty much worth going to see.
Good family movie.
It's a good family movie. I mean, it has a couple
adult
language things in there. I mean, nothing too bad. But I mean, I guess that's based on parents, of course. But
yeah, of course.
There's a couple language things, but other than that, it's pretty good. So
for those who don't know, there's like these kids get put in the game. It's like a video game version of Jumanji. They get put in the game as these avatars, and Jack Black's character is actually a girl from our world or whatever. That's a funny dynamic.
That's pretty much the funniest part of the movie.
Yeah,
because given that in the regular world she's a girl, and then she gets into the game and she's a guy. Well, she sees things that she didn't have before, so and she's pretty amazed by it.
Yeah.
So she kind of takes a peek at certain things to realize that oh wow, I have one of those. So this is how it works, or stuff like that. So.
That's funny though, because in our world, the jock guy, he's Kevin Hart in the game, and then the nerd, scrawny little nerd guy is
Dwayne Johnson.
Yes, that's awesome.
So that part that was pretty funny, and then he's like, "I'm small," that type of thing. But yeah, it was pretty good, and the storyline was really good, and it had a little bit of humor in it as well too.
Action packed,
pretty action packed. But yeah, it's pretty enjoyable.
It was the special effects good.
I enjoyed the special effects. It was some of the special effects kind of reminded you a little bit of the original movie, sort of. Of course, given the year the world we live in now and all the special effects, of course, is a little bit better.
Right.
But other than that, I enjoy it's pretty good.
And you couldn't find any nods to the original film?
Honestly, I wasn't really looking for them.
Right.
I was just sitting there just watching it, and maybe when I see it again, I might find Easter eggs in there of that reference from the first movie. But other than that, I didn't.
It sounds like it's a film for both people who liked the original and who didn't. You're one of the ones who didn't like the original too much, right?
I didn't get into it very much.
Yeah.
I think maybe since it wasn't like it is now as far as the action and everything as well too. And I like Robin Williams and I like the characters that are in it, but for me, this was a little...
Yeah, it pushed special effects back then for sure. Yeah. With the monkeys and stuff.
Yeah.
Some of it looks not too bad and some of it looks really awful from the old movie. But the old movie, I mean, it had some action scenes, but it was more like strategy, they're trying to play the game. Is there anything like that in this film? Are they playing the game in that world, or are they just trying to survive?
A little bit of both.
Yeah.
They have to basically play the game in order to survive in the world.
So it's similar.
It's similar. Yeah. It's just a little bit different way of doing it, basically. They're trying not to, not to die, they have to get to a certain place.
Yeah.
With a certain object to, get it back, and when they do, then they yell out the game name, and so yeah,
that's funny. Yeah, I really want to see that. Did they leave it open for a sequel?
I guess they could, but
so it can be its own thing.
It could be its own thing, but honestly, I wouldn't try it unless maybe you bring in, of course, maybe different people, and they come into the world of it's kind of like this did, but
Be a retread though.
Yeah, but I probably wouldn't try to make a sequel out of it because I don't see how they could really do it.
Sadly, I think they might just because it's made so much money, but hopefully they're smart about it. I don't know. Sometimes you just need to leave.
I mean, if they go like they did with the original, like the original was a board game.
Yeah.
And then this one was like a video game. Mm-hmm. And then maybe, the next one could be like a iPad type app or something like an app or something like that you push and it sucks you in. I don't know, something like that, but more computer generated.
It'll be interesting. Yeah.
So.
Well, at least it can be its own film. They're not trying to really create a franchise. Right. I mean, they probably are. It's making a lot of money, so yeah, I really want to see that. I don't know if I'll end up catching it in the theater or not, but
or they make an app out of it instead of going to a different world. Maybe they could still be in the same world, just wreaking havoc on
So it's more like the first one, except it's like with digital technology, not the board game itself.
Right.
Yeah, that might be kind of cool. Right. Have it in their world. It'd be more challenging because like. In the video game world, don't they have many lives or something? Like,
yeah.
There's a scene in the trailer where Kevin Hart, his weakness is cake, and he eats it and he explodes.
Yes, yeah, that was pretty funny. So yeah, it is basically a game, and like any game that you have so many lives,
right?
And if you run out of those lives, then of course you're dead for real in a way. So
right,
it's one of those things. It's like a teamwork type of thing, and with humor as well too. So they have to use each other to get to where they need to go.
It looked good from the trailers, but I still don't like the title too much because it just sounds so corny. The Welcome to the Jungle.
Yeah,
I'm like, really? I guess Jumanji 2 would maybe turn people off like you didn't really like the first one. They're like, I don't really want to see another one. You know, this is a little different, but yeah, it looks good. I'm glad they. I have a good cast, so you always hope when you have a good cast like that, the movie's really good and it's not just garbage. So.
And this has got to be a first. I actually saw a movie before you did.
Yeah, really, right? Okay, well,
it's got to be a first.
Yeah, horror movies aside.
Yeah, but these kind of movies, I actually saw one before you did.
Hey, did you see it yet? Nope.
Are you going to? Nope.
Maybe someday. Who knows?
I'll make sure I bring it over.
There you go. Thanks for reviewing that.
Yeah. Hopefully I didn't give out too much.
No, I think the trailers gave out quite a bit.
It's kind of hard to not give out too much when you've seen it.
Right. I'm sure there's some nice surprises still. So that's cool. Well, TV news, Animaniacs. I don't know if you were a big Animaniac fan.
My sister was, but I can't say that I was. I think by the time that show came out, I was a little too old for that. I think we were in our early teens or something like that when that came out, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
So
You like Tiny Toons or anything like that?
I watched Tiny Toons a few times, but my sister is 8 years younger than I am.
Yeah.
So she loved those shows. But other than that, I didn't get into them a whole lot.
I like Tiny Toons more than the Animaniacs. I would agree with that. I did like the whole, they're on the Warner Brothers lot and they get to bring in all these,
all the legendary.
Yes.
All the legendary cartoons. So they did them.
They did a Michael Keaton Batman it was like skits they did, and it was really funny how they really drew it detailed and stuff. And I was like, oh, I'd love to see an animated movie like that.
I thought at first when that show first came out, I remember this. I remember thinking, I wonder if maybe these kids are like the kids of the original cartoons, like Elmer Fudd and all of them.
Yeah,
I thought that's
what. I think the Babs Bunny,
and Buster, and all that type of stuff.
They were like nephews or something, weren't they? Of Bugs or something?
No, because the original, if I remember right, the original cartoons were the teachers. So
okay.
they're
I haven't seen it in such a long time.
The school professors or whatever you want to call it. It's like an academy.
Yeah.
So basically, they were the teachers of the school,
right?
And they're teaching them basically different
Acme High or something like that.
Yeah. Acme University or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But so I thought when it first came out, that maybe these cartoons maybe have their own kids, so maybe they're kind of learning the new generation type of thing. But it was completely different.
It's it was definitely attractive, meaning like the colors, like the bunnies were, you had a blue and a pink bunny. They really played with the kids, like what really gets the kids attracted to products and stuff. Just a wrestling tournament. But yeah, Animaniacs, I think they, I liked them. I think by the time they came out, I was kind of getting out of all that myself. But I did, watch a few things, and they had some really funny moments. And I think my kids do have one of the seasons upstairs. Hulu is going to have 2 seasons for a new Animaniacs, basically a reboot they've ordered, and they're going to be developing that with Amblin Television and Warner Brothers. They're going to wipe the slate clean. Hopefully they get the same voice actors back.
They've been rebooting everything else. I mean, they have, newer Scooby-Doo cartoons. They have, they're going to come out with this, and they've, bring back a bunch of other old cartoons that we watched when we were kids. So,
right.
Or they came out when we were kids, whatever. So they bring a lot of stuff back.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about the rebooting thing. I don't know. Maybe they'll handle it as a light reboot or a refresher more like that, hopefully. That way, fans before won't be so disappointed. The good news with that reboot order of shows, Hulu's also going to be getting the original series of Animaniacs, Pinky and the Brain, Tiny Toon Adventures, and I think a few more. So original shows may be out sooner. The Animaniacs reboot should launch 2020 sometime.
Can't wait.
You might just like it.
My kids might. There
you go. So this one will interest Billy because he's a huge Superman fan. We're going to talk Krypton.
Yes.
This is a sci-fi series that's going to premiere March 21st, 2018, and it takes place 2 generations before Krypton explodes. It follows Superman's grandfather, Seg-El. It's like they make these things up. He hopes to redeem his family's honor and save the planet from destruction. The name Seg-El is a nod to Superman co-creator Jerry Siegel and references John Byrne's 1980s miniseries, The World of Krypton.
So they just made this up.
Yeah, pretty much. Lyta Zod is it going to be another character in the show, and it's the grandmother of General Zod? Wow, really? Didn't see that one coming.
Got to keep that going.
Executive produced by David S. Goyer, who, of course, produced Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, The Dawn of Justice, The Dark Knight trilogy. Cameron Welsh will serve as executive producer and showrunner. Currently, credit for Cameron is with Ash vs. Evil Dead, which I do like that show a lot. The show looks good to me. I've seen like trailers,
I've seen a couple of trailers,
teasers.
Of it. I'm a little worried for one thing. One, I mean, yeah, they're going to go back 2 generations. So I guess maybe if it lasts the first season or 2, are they going to bring in Jor-El? I assume that they probably would at some point if it's dealing with Superman's grandfather. So
yeah,
I don't know if Jor-El's going to be alive at that point in time yet. So
yeah,
maybe if they, they're going to show. I assume they're going to show like the wars and.
Well, it's a young grandfather.
Oh, it's a young grandfather. Okay,
it's going to be quite some time.
So it'll be quite. Okay, so
the show will be on 20 years.
Yeah, I guess so. So I mean, so if it's a young grandfather, maybe I assume in his 20s or something like that.
Yeah, he's like a young kid.
So maybe if it does last some time, maybe Jor-El will be born.
Mm-hmm.
I highly doubt they'll go any further than that because it would take. They have to age pretty fast over the coming seasons in order for, Kal-El to be born as well too.
Right, but, and there could be time jumps between seasons.
Who knows? They can do that as well too. So, I mean, I'm anxious to see what it looks like and how they build from how Krypton was before Jor-El came into the world and before Superman's character was born as well too. So, I'm kind of anxious to see kind of how that works out. Of course, it's a completely different world compared to what we see now, compared to what, with Supergirl and, the other Superman shows and all types of stuff. So it's going to be a completely different, different thing. But I'm kind of interested to see how this works out. And maybe I hope if it does last, a few seasons that they do bring in Jor-El and they do bring in, Kal-El's character to where before, maybe as a series finale that they, Kal-El is sending his ship onto Earth to, and for other things as well too. So I hope that happens. But but they never really explained before how Krypton was. Always see his glimpses of it. Usually some kind of war or it's blowing up. So so it'd be kind of anxious, nice to see how how Krypton I guess was in a way. How the wars were and how it was on that planet before before we saw it in how we see it. So
there's a lot they can develop there. I think we've had comic stories go into that world before we really knew about it. The world of Krypton, I'm just guessing this miniseries John Byrne wrote in the 80s may have a lot of similarities to it, maybe. I don't know. But, yeah, my biggest problem is going to be, because I think a lot of people forget this, Superman's only powerful on our planet because of our type of sun.
Yeah.
So if people on Krypton can start flying and stuff, I'm going to have a big problem with that.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you can't do that. That's just...
Because their sun is red, and of course they're typically regular humans, kind of like... kind of like us. So, yeah, that would be...
I could see them being like, oh, our sun's going through a phase right now, so we're going to have these abilities, and then they'll go away. And then they'll be like, oh, maybe if we send, down the line Clark to Earth, he'll have these abilities.
Well, they'll have...
Who knows?
According to, other shows and comics, stuff like that, their technology's far more advanced, so they could fly, but probably more like machinery type stuff that'll help them fly. Mm-hmm. That's what I think anyway.
What bothers me about Krypton's destruction, and Man of Steel I liked, there's parts of it I have problems with. They're so damn smart, and they're travelers, right? I mean, they haven't traveled for a while. Why don't they just get off the damn planet? Why do they got to wait for the sun to be in their backyard? And it's like, they're so stupid.
Well, because I think from what I've read and what I've seen, all type of stuff, the council or whoever else don't believe that there's anything going on with Krypton.
Right.
So they don't believe that, that their sun is getting too close to their planet to where it's going to ultimately explode. So,
so they must have control of all the ships they have, because that's
apparently
my thing. It's like, if Jor-El made this little rocket for his son, don't they have a family ship they could just get into? And I mean, hell, if you would have committed a crime, you would have been saved because of the Phantom Zone.
Right.
So I think I don't know if you remember, but the Superman animated series from the 90s did a great job, I think, in explaining why no one evacuated Krypton when there was a lot of evidence. Brainiac ran their whole system.
And Brainiac's supposed to be in this as well, too, I think.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know if that'd be interesting because he's going to be in Supergirl. I know that for sure. So I don't know if they'll be able to toy with both of those, but that would be really cool. Like, I don't think a physical form would be wise, because I think on the planet anyway, from what I've seen, it was always computer, and it just transmitted its entity into something else, and then it came to Earth and it merged with a human. I think that's how it works. But
so if Brainiac is in the show, then that could help with some of the questions, maybe.
Yeah, that's just I think the anime series explained it very well. Like, yeah, of course, no one believed because their system, Brainiac wanted them to die, and he was misleading them. And Jor-El was the only one who knew, because he was like a scientist. He knew the truth.
Something was wrong.
So he was trying to shut down Brainiac, and then in that process, Brainiac, like...
That'd be kind of cool that they could have shown that, in the
movie.
Even the early movies.
Oh, people would have dug that with Brainiac. Like, oh, that would have been so cool.
Because, when they had, especially in the original movie before, with Marlon Brando, there he was telling them, we're going to be dead here in a matter of days. So that'd be kind of cool if they had come up with that concept back then. That was showing, having a Brainiac character type thing, saying there's nothing wrong, you're fine, nothing's going to happen, and then have him and Jor-El kind of, having a battle.
Yeah, like Brainiac could like morph himself into like the guards and actually fight him physically. Like, that would have been so cool to see. They could retcon that idea in the movies though. Like, they could do a flashback to Krypton and maybe show a Brainiac. I just feel like that was a missing ingredient to make it plausible. Like, why aren't they leaving the planet?
Right. Unless
they're artificial intelligence, they believe in it so much and they don't know it became self-aware and wanted to destroy Krypton. Like, that was such a good idea in the animated series.
That's probably why Jor-El had made the ship, because he probably knew, since, Kal-El's birth was like the first one, that naturally, that if anything were to happen, that he knew that, he had to get his kid off that planet. So that's the reason why he built that ship. So that couldn't have taken, it had taken forever for him to make that thing.
Yeah. There's been other interpretations and things, but yeah,
and maybe he wanted to leave as well too. Maybe him and his wife were planning on leaving, but, they found that it was just best for them to stay, and because Krypton made their mistake, and now they can ship him off to somewhere where he can survive.
I like the idea that Jor-El like fought to get off the planet, or fought harder to stay alive. You know,
he fought hard to stay alive so he can die.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I think that's how it was in the animated series. He built the rocket for Super Clark or Kal-El, right?
Yeah.
And because he had suspicions, and then once he knew for sure or was trying to shut Brainiac down, it was too late. So he had to rush. He had to rush back and launch Clark, Jor-El or Kal-El. Sorry, there's too many L's. Yeah, I don't know. That's just been my minor problems with the whole Krypton thing. Like, if they're so intelligent, why can't they just look out their door and go, "Oh yeah, it's a little close. Maybe we should take a road trip for a little bit."
But I hope they bring in the characters that we know later on. And then
Brainiac is definitely wanted in the movie first. Like, if you're gonna do a Man of Steel 2, you got to have Brainiac because we've never seen that really on the big screen. But
I just want to know what General Zod's name is, because every time we know him as General Zod. Is his first name General? I mean, you're gonna have a baby. What's his name? General.
It's Bob.
It's Bob Zod.
Bob Zod. Attorney at law. Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to this show. Actually, it looks good. It looks like they put money into it. So
I hope it lasts a while, because sometimes, especially when it comes to superhero type shows, they start out okay, but then they start to burn out for a little bit. So I hope that
that's why I favor the miniseries is more like every season's like they'll make their run with one idea and they finish it out, and if people really like it a lot, they'll come back and do a whole new slate. Not make it like outdo their welcome.
But they did the same thing for Supergirl, because the first season was okay, but then they were nearly getting canceled, and then they brought the concept in of bringing in Superman. That just everything blew up after that, and then he was in there for what 3 or 4 episodes, so that season went pretty good. But then it comes back for a third season, and then the ratings dropped in half of what it was at the beginning of season 2. So it's one of those things that, these superhero shows, it's kind of hard to, the storylines are, get harder and harder. So that's what my fear is for Krypton.
That's what's frustrating about these. Like, I like the CW shows, but there's so many episodes to watch. Like, there's like 20 episodes per season.
Yeah.
So a lot of those are fillers because, writing staff, they're making this happen like week by week. So they don't have much time.
Right.
But the miniseries, you got time to craft it a little bit more. And you can make it like, beginning, middle, end. Versus like you're still trying to figure out the middle and end part for the season while it's happening. I love the miniseries idea a lot more. So I'm afraid it's like Gotham. Gotham started out, they were trying to do their own thing, make you interested in the detective characters. And I guess they still do that, but they've really incorporated Bruce Wayne too much, in my opinion. Like, he's like going to be Batman soon already, and he's like early teens. I'm like, dude, come on.
I haven't gotten into Gotham, so I don't know too much about it. I mean, I've seen
visually it's appealing. Like, it does look nice how it's shot, and the characterizations of everyone's really creative, I think. But it's more interesting to me, like, to write things so well that people actually dig these cop characters, and you don't need Batman. I think that's the whole point. Like, do that. Because that's more challenging, and if you're not worried about making a television series to go on for years, just a mini series, you can just focus on one idea, and you just introduce that to the world, and then if people want more, you can give them more. But at least you got to finish the story and put all you could into it. I just think that's more creative, satisfying to see that versus like, oh, we're not doing so good, let's bring Bruce back and have him start dressing up and fighting people. Like, oh, come on, man.
Bring him as Batboy, because he's not, he's at the age of when Batman became Batman, so he'd be more like Batboy.
I know you love Smallville. My biggest problem with Smallville is it went on for so long that
10 years, yeah.
He was practically everything but Superman. Like, he had the coat and everything. Like, he just didn't have the title until finally the last episode.
And he didn't have that, really.
Right, yeah. Lois Lane already came in to play, and she met him when he was not wearing glasses yet. So it's like, how does she not? I don't know how that worked out.
Well, yeah.
Well, she explained it on the show.
Well, they explained it because there was an episode, I think, in season 9. Season 9, because he was still wearing the trench coat, I think. and he was knocked off a building or something like that, and she was knocked out, but she woke up, and he had gotten up at the same time, and he got up and he ran off, and she saw that, so they called him the Blur. At that point in time, they're calling him the Blur, or everyone was calling him the Blur.
Yeah.
And so he was leaving his symbol signs on buildings, stuff like that, made a fire or whatever. So that's how she kind of figured out who he was. And then season 10 came along. He was wearing the coat or the jacket, and then they, so she knew who he was, and then he ended up telling her in a way. But yeah, but even when it came to throughout the seasons, and I didn't get into it as much until the later seasons, but I mean, I know they were trying to establish who Clark was, and he was coming into his abilities, not his powers, his abilities, because he always called it abilities, and
just embrace it.
he was learning who he was and stuff like that, which is fine. I think it took a little too much time to make his abilities, what they were. I think that maybe in season 9 they could have added the Superman type thing. I mean, they had the suit. They showed the suit, and you could tell that it was almost like a replica of what Brandon Routh wore in Superman Returns.
They
pretty close to it.
Put too much money into it,
and then they put it away into an iceberg in the fortress until he was ready. But I mean, even the last episode of the series, they showed the suit. He wasn't wearing it, so I mean, it. Yeah, and they always said that he wasn't going to wear the suit anyway, regardless.
Well, yeah, I guess once he puts that on, it's no longer Smallville, it's Superman. But my whole thing was like that show should have just been like 5 years. Should have followed him from high school through college, gets the newspaper job, and then that's the end of the story.
I like how they build it up a little bit because, yes, he had to learn who he was. He had to do his trials and stuff like that. I get that. And then he finally got the haircut and got the glasses and stuff like that. But it did take a little bit of time. But I wish they would have done more with it. It's just unfortunate. They had planned not to do it. And that stuff didn't come out until long after Smallville was over. But because you could tell that, some of that stuff was fake. I mean, it was pretty exciting when that first came out. Like, oh yes, finally he's flying.
Wait, I can't see him.
He got rid of
very small.
He got rid of the apocalypse. He threw it into outer space.
Yeah,
whatever. And then he turns around, and then he's a comic book character.
Yeah.
So that part kind of like, what happened there? So they made like basically a Superman comic of him getting rid of the apocalypse.
Really
planet.
Weird.
It's kind of weird, but it.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the ending when he did the whole thing with, ripping the glasses off, ripping the shirt open. He's wearing of what we see as part of the suit, which I don't think it was. I think it was more of a CGI, maybe.
Probably.
He's probably wearing like a t-shirt, something like that, but with the CGI S on it.
Yeah.
But, and I've watched I've watched scenes to where, what could have been and how it could have been. And I watched stuff on YouTube. And there was a part to where, he was flying in the suit and stuff like that and doing what they showed in Smallville. But they showed him on the top of a building, standing up there, and the crowd is, just yelling and screaming, just, yeah. And he's just standing there. He has his hands on his hips and his cape is just flapping in the wind. Basically like, I'm here. This is who I am now. That part should have happened. I would have loved to see that. It was almost like a fan made type of thing.
Right.
But his hair was a little bit longer in that kind of scene, but that's something that I think could have happened. He's standing on top of the building, and everyone sees him for the first time of who he is, and who they're, who's been leaving these signs all over the place. So I think that would have been awesome to have in the end.
Yeah, that would have been a cool finisher for the series. It just says I'm Superman, and then that's the end of the series because he's now Superman. Just like Gotham, it'd be cool to end it like I'm Batman. Commissioner Gordon's like, who are you? I'm Batman. And that's how it ends. Right. But now it's like, I'm Batman. I'm 12.
I haven't gone through puberty yet.
I'm going to fight crime with you. It's like, come on. This is stupid. I don't know. Joey's a big fan of Gotham, so good thing he's not here because he'd be like, ooh. He did make fun of the new costume Bruce has. I don't know if they changed it, but he looked like a gimp.
Oh, really?
It's pretty funny. Yeah. Yeah, he had like a cowl, but it had no ears. And it had like really big leather material and zippers, and it just looked like he was a gimp.
So basically, it was like the pre-bat costume.
The pre-bat
costume. This is basically a bat costume.
Yeah, I'm like, come on, Bruce should be he should be overseas training.
As long as he's not wearing one that's, like leather with the man nipples on it.
Oh yeah, they'll never go back to that. No, they've learned.
Or the ass part, he pulls the pants up and then he like
the ass shot.
Yeah, the ass shot.
Which was funny at the time, but yeah, now it's like, oh God, why? That really took away from the seriousness of this
if they
movie.
can make the bat costume like they did for Ben Affleck's Batman, I think I would like that because you can pull the mask off, you can pull the suit off. Basically, it's basically just like a shirt with a cape in a way. So if they did that, I think I find it like that as well.
Yeah, I think the Affleck costume's the best. I still like the BVS one over the Justice League one. Justice League one is a little too dark for me. Like I like the gray suit. Never saw that before on the big screen, No. I mean, we saw Adam West, but
but his was
Keaton
like
was all
tights.
black, and then they just got worse. Like they're just all black, no bullseye symbol or anything, and
the bat sign or the bat symbol was either. I like of course, the first two was black and yellow.
Yeah,
and then
that was fine.
even Val Kilmer's was black and yellow until they got to the end, and then it was like a black suit with just a bat drawing.
Right.
And then you get to, George Clooney's.
Kilmer's was actually kind of cool. It was like, it wasn't like a flat symbol. It had depth to it. Like the bat itself was like coming out of the symbol.
Right.
Like it was like a 3D, very detailed. And
his
it's almost like he could grab it and like throw it or something.
Kind of what Superman did in Superman 2. He just
yeah. Here's a fruit roll up. Like,
But his last costume in Batman Forever, the prototype one was it wasn't even the little circular or the oval
it was like
shape.
a giant.
It was like a giant bat, but it was like in the rubber itself, basically.
Right.
So
and then Clooney's his first costume was basically Kilmer's symbol, but it's like all black now.
Right.
No yellow.
Right.
And they made his cowl like super big. It's like they mismeasured his head. Unless he's got a big head. But man, that always bugged me with that Clooney cowl. It was like Jello mold on his head. He'd move and it just like...
Well, his hair... Well, I don't know what they did because I think Kilmer had a lot more hair than Clooney did.
Yeah.
And had a lot more hair than what Michael Keaton did. But yeah, his kind of fit better. It was
Kilmer's looked more like Keaton's, more like just like a revised version of Keaton's, and then Clooney's was just kind of its own thing. I don't know. Terrible. Just terrible. That movie.
It was, for what it's worth, it was.
Yeah. Right. Hey, with Warner Brothers the way it is, we could go back to those times. It's possible. So.
Yeah, they went back to the times where they did like Keaton's or Kilmer's, because Kilmer's wasn't over the top as far as special effects, as far as the visuals, stuff like that. Once they got to Clooney's, it was a little over the top. But I think if they went back to that, I think it would actually be kind of cool. Not as much special effects, just kind of with the Christopher Reeve Superman, there wasn't. Some of it was kind of cheesy, you could kind of tell, but just those kind of those kind of special effects, like the kind of tone like they were, I think that'd be pretty cool.
Like Keaton's suit would look great with the gray, cape and cowl black and boots and gloves, but the rest of it gray with the symbol. Right. That would look pretty badass, I think. That's the way you could totally revive that. But yeah, I like what we got with Affleck. I know people are still not sure about him, but I dig it. I think it's fine. I think it's best look, and
he's got a lot of compliments. That he's up there as far as him playing the character. I said this before too. When I first found out that he was becoming Batman, I was a little worried about that.
Yeah, I was too.
But I mean, each person who's played Batman has played it in their own kind of character. Yeah. I know Clooney didn't like it after he did it, but
because he didn't. I don't think he realized how bad it was going to be.
Well, I don't think it was him per se, because I think he did the character fine. I just think the movie was just a little over the top.
Yeah. Well, Warner Brothers wanted to sell toys pretty much. And which is funny because the first Keaton movie, they didn't really even have toys for it. They actually had to repaint ones they had before. Right. And in that way, it took time for them to kind of get the Keaton features on the face and things like that. It's funny how the toy lines evolved, and I think it just got ridiculous. And with Justice League toys they're pretty cool. I think
we have a lot of them.
Yeah, lucky you. My kids, closest I get is Wonder Woman because I have all girls.
Oh, my son got a package, and it had Wonder Woman with it because it had all the action figures. So they're about the...
Oh, you got the whole box thing?
Well, it wasn't a whole box. It was just the one that had like 3 characters in it.
Oh,
so,
sure.
So it had like Cyborg. And this one has Cyborg, Aquaman, and Wonder Woman in it.
Oh, cool.
And then he got the stand-up Superman, not the real tall one, but the size smaller than that.
Yeah.
So he's got that now as well too. So he's got
sweet.
He's got a lot of. I asked him if I could keep his other Superman. He said no, but from the one from the Man of Steel Superman.
Yeah.
I asked him if I could have that. He said no, but
Nice.
He's got Batman as well too.
Someday you might not want it, so you can just take it. I would take it, put it in your man cave when you have one.
Whenever I get one.
Yeah. Hey, put it in storage. That way you have all the decor you need.
Well, he told me, he's like, you can have it now. I'm like, it's fine. I'll take it later.
How nice of you. Since I bought it. I want to say happy birthday. Happy 25th birthday to Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Billy's favorite show.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it premiered back in 93. Steve and I were going to discuss more about DS9 when we record the new exciting episode of Star Trek Discovery Mission Report, which will be coming very soon. Star Trek Discovery returns this Sunday. It's on CBS All Access, and it's going to be on, for the UK listeners, it'll be on your Netflix. This will be the 10th episode, and it's going to be directed by Jonathan Frakes, who played number 1 on The Next Generation. And the show title is Despite Yourself. So, yeah, we had a great cliffhanger with Discovery lately. I'm really anxious to see where we go from there. So, yeah, a lot of great things to talk about. Also, I think All Access just cut a deal with Amazon Video. So if you have Amazon Prime, you should be able to get the Discovery show very soon because Star Trek Discovery is on its own streaming service, CBS All Access. So, if you're a big fan like you are, you can't watch it unless you have All Access.
I'll make sure I get that.
Yeah, there you go. Well, they have other things on there.
I'm sure.
They have all the CBS evening newses you can get. All that cool stuff.
Oh, I'll stick with. I have Sling, so
You have Sling?
I'll stick with that. And I mean, I have other apps as well too. But
yeah, I know that a lot of streaming services out there. It's pretty crazy, and we have Disney coming very soon. So more money to pony up. I mean, if you don't have cable, I guess you're spending about the same. So
yeah, I mean, yeah,
you just need good internet, and you're set.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, the only ones I watch is either Netflix. Like I said, we have Sling. We did have the PlayStation View, but then we went back to Sling because it was just easier as far as channels and all that type of stuff. But yeah,
that's cool. Yeah, there's so many things out there. I don't know what to. We have Chromecast. Thought about getting into the was it the Roku? Roku. Yep. And there's Amazon Fire Stick. There's all kinds of things.
We have Roku, and we love it. I mean, we have it on all the TVs in the house, and it's a lot easier because the kids have it in their rooms as well too.
Yeah,
and they can watch Netflix whenever they want to. They can watch the Disney whatever apps that they have on their TV, minus a few that they shouldn't be watching.
Yeah,
but. I mean, because all the apps are on the TVs, all in the house. So,
right.
But they can watch those, and as long as you have good internet, as long as your internet doesn't go down, and
that's
you'll
the
be good to
thing.
go.
Yeah. Well, with the net neutrality, that'll be very interesting how that goes. Kick a man while they're having fun. I don't know, but
so if you have good internet, you're good. If not, then you're gonna be watching a lot of DVDs. So.
Worst case, if it gets too out of hand with these the internet and all that stuff, I'll just read books. It'll be tough, but
I have a few comics at home I can read.
There you go. Yeah. Maybe some people say we should get back to reading more. I kind of believe that.
I kind of agree. My kids love to read a lot, so
as long as you're reading good stuff, not shit. Yeah.
My kids read all the time, so I should probably follow their example. So.
I know. I want to read more myself. So yeah, everyone out there, read a book. Go join the David Bowie book club. His son just started that. Doug Jones. That's very interesting. Quite large books they're reading, so I probably won't be aboard that unless they're like audiobooks. Because it's hard for me to read, but I want to.
Me too. I don't have the patience for it yet.
I know. Someday, right?
Yep.
Someday. Well, thanks for being on the show. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hope you had fun.
I did.
Want to thank everyone out there for listening. Please check us out on all social media. And listen to us on Podbean, Stitcher Radio, iTunes, and YouTube. FieldofGeeks.com. With that said, we'll be back. I'm Josh.
I'm Billy.
Take care.
One of the best inventions ever was the book. A book lets you zoom through time and space, but don't bother packing. You can stay in one place.
Whether you head north, south, east, or west, a book can be your passport from your own neighborhood to the craters of the moon. In your imagination, when you read a good book, you bring the book to life. You bring the book to life. When you read a good book, you're the actor. A book lets you zoom through time and space, but don't bother packing. You can stay in one place. Zoom through time and space, but you don't have to take my word for it. There are stories everywhere you look, if you look in the right way. New castles to build, mysteries to be solved. The answer is in a book.
Believe it or not, this is a book. Big or little, it doesn't matter. It's what's inside that counts.
I love maps, all kinds of maps. Each one tells me something different about the world. There's a map for just about any place you're interested in going.
Even the littlest idea
can end up as something big.
All of these books started out as an idea, and look where they ended up. A book lets you zoom through time and space, but don't bother packing. You can stay in one place. Zoom through time and space, but you don't have to take my